I heard her say, "He's just a stepping stone until someone better notices me at the gala." And I didn't slam the door. I didn't confront her. I quietly placed a bouquet of roses on the kitchen counter, backed out of the apartment, and walked to my car like a man who'd suddenly remembered something important. In a way, I had. My name is Evan. I'm an accountant, steady, quiet, predictable. The kind of guy people describe as dependable, which is just a polite way of saying not exciting. My girlfriend, Jasmine, was the opposite. She was a lifestyle coordinator for small luxury events, which is a fancy way of saying she planned expensive parties for people who needed their egos fed. She lived in a world of sequin dresses, curated Instagram feeds, and friendships based on who could provide the next social advantage. When we started dating, she told me she liked that I was grounding. Months later, I realized grounding meant I don't know how to pay my taxes. Can you help? And can you cover dinner? My clients are slow paying me this month. The requests kept adding up. A car payment here, a designer rental there, event deposits that she swore she'd pay back. By the time she introduced me to her friends, they looked at me like she'd brought her personal ATM. They even joked about it once. I told myself they were just teasing. I told myself Jasmine was just stressed. I told myself too many lies. Everything escalated when she got invited to the Luminous Foundation Gala, one of those million-dollar events full of investors and social celebrities. It was the biggest night of her career. If she impressed the right people, she could climb into the elite planner category and finally get the clients she drooled over. That's when she started pushing hard. "We need to make an impression," she kept saying, flipping through dress catalogs like she was selecting a wedding gown. "Everyone's bringing their best. I can't look basic. We have to stand out." "We." When I asked what she meant by we, she said, "Well, you know, you'll take care of the tickets, right? I can't ask my boss to sponsor me again. And the couple tickets are still open." I checked the cost. A couple's ticket cost more than my monthly rent. But she pressed the issue with this trembling lip and soft voice that made me feel guilty for even hesitating. So I did what I always did. I bit the bullet, paid for the tickets, and pretended the dent in my savings wasn't as deep as it was. She told her friends. They squealed like she'd won a prize. "She's so lucky," one said, not even glancing at me. "He's such a catch," said another. "Imagine having someone who just pays." And Jasmine didn't defend me. She didn't correct them. She didn't say a single appreciative word. That was the first time I felt something crack. The second time was the afternoon I heard her talking on the phone. I had stopped by her place to drop off her dry cleaning because she'd asked, and because I was still trying to be supportive. The door was half open, so I stepped inside and heard her voice drifting from the bedroom. She wasn't crying. She wasn't stressed. She was bragging. She said, "I just need him until the gala is over. After that, I'll definitely upgrade. This relationship is temporary." My stomach dropped. Then she said something that changed everything. "No, he won't suspect a thing. He's too worried about being a good man. He's paying for the whole gala night, the car, the tickets, the dinner afterward. He practically worships me." A pause. Then she added, "Honestly, if another guy there gives me attention, I'm done with Evan. He's sweet, but he's not the long-term guy. More like a stepping stone." Her friend laughed, and Jasmine laughed harder. I didn't make a sound as I stood frozen by the doorway, listening to her tear apart the version of me she pretended to appreciate. Then her friend asked, "What about that guy you were messaging? The investor?" Jasmine giggled. "He said he wants to get drinks after the gala. If he shows interest in something serious, I won't need Evan anymore. Might as well get something out of him while he's useful." Useful. That was all I was to her. In that moment, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt clarity. Pure, cold, strategic clarity. I left the apartment as quietly as I came. And while walking back to my car, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I didn't need to confront her. I needed to let her walk straight into the consequences she had carefully built for herself. I was done being her stepping stone and ready to become her downfall. The trick to taking down a narcissist without ever lifting your voice is simple. Let them reveal themselves. And Jasmine was more than ready to reveal. For the week leading up to the gala, she treated me like her personal assistant, not her boyfriend, her unpaid event staff. Pick up my dress. Pay the makeup deposit. Book the car service, nothing cheap. I need you to buy matching accessories so we look coordinated. I said yes to everything with a smile she mistook for obedience instead of strategy. The plan was coming together perfectly. What she didn't know was that I had contacted the event coordinator 2 days earlier. Since I'd paid for the tickets, I was technically the registered guest and primary contact. All I needed to do was make a single change. I requested that the tickets remain valid, but under separate check-ins. I also added a note that Jasmine's entry should be billed independently if she brought additional guests. And most important, I canceled my contribution to the post-gala dinner package. She bragged about booking for her entire friend group under our names. It would remain on the system, but the bill would go to her exclusively. Grand total, enough to wake her up at night. The night of the gala arrived like a movie premiere. Jasmine swirled out of her apartment in a shimmering gown, spinning for me like I was a photographer on payroll. "Well," she asked, glowing with self-admiration, "do I look like someone who belongs at the top?" I smiled. "You look exactly where you belong." She didn't hear the tone. She never did. The limo arrived, and Jasmine immediately started posting photos, tags, hashtags, angles, captions about my amazing man making dreams come true. I watched her through the window as we drove, and I felt a strange peace settle over me, like I was finally observing reality, not the fantasy she sold. At the gala entrance, velvet ropes aligned with flashing cameras and gold-coated decor. Jasmine strutted forward like royalty. Except when the host scanned her ticket, he said, "Ah, welcome, Miss Carter. Your party of one is confirmed." "Party of what?" she asked, blinking. He gestured politely. "Your companion is listed separately. You're checked in as an individual guest." She spun to me. "Evan, what's going on?" I shrugged casually. "I thought it'd be less confusing this way. You said you didn't want me clinging to you all night." Her eyes twitched, but then her friends arrived, squealing, snapping pictures, feeding her ego all over again. Just like that, she forgot everything. Inside the ballroom, I blended into the background and watched her operate. She laughed too loudly, bragged at every conversation, kept dropping hints about big future opportunities. And every 20 minutes, she scanned the room for that investor, the one she planned to ditch me for. Then her friends cornered me. One said, "Jasmine told us you're paying for the after-party dinner. That's huge." Another snickered, "She is so lucky. You're basically sponsoring her career." I smiled the same smile she misunderstood, and said nothing. The real show hadn't even started. It began during the champagne toast. Jasmine clinked her glass with the energy of a woman expecting worship. She wrapped her arm around my elbow and said loudly, "We owe this whole night to Evan. He believes I'm destined for greatness, and he's supporting my career every step of the way." Her friends clapped. Several people around us nodded appreciatively. She basked in it. Then the investor arrived. Tall, polished, confident. He walked toward us, and Jasmine practically levitated. She slid her hand off my arm as if it had never belonged there. "Evan," she whispered, "don't make this weird." Weird. She introduced herself to the investor like she was single, like I didn't exist, like I wasn't the reason she was even standing in that ballroom. The investor smiled politely, then asked, "And this is?" Jasmine hesitated. Long enough to hurt. Long enough for the investor to notice. I filled the silence. "I'm the sponsor for her evening." She insisted I handle the expenses. Something flashed across his face. Discomfort, then mild disgust. Just the expression I expected. Jasmine shot me a death glare, whisper hissing, "What are you doing?" Before I could answer, A staff member approached her. "Miss Carter, quick update about your dinner reservation. The total will be charged at the end tonight. Just confirming you will be covering the entire amount." Her friends heard it. The investor heard it. Half the nearby circle heard it. Jasmine blinked in confusion. No, my boyfriend." The staffer checked his tablet. "No, ma'am. The reservation is in your name, with your payment." Her friends slowly looked at her, wide-eyed, waiting. Jasmine stuttered. "There's been a mistake. Evan, tell them." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "I only paid for my own ticket. Everything else is yours. You were very clear about wanting independence." The investor raised an eyebrow. Her friends whispered. The staffer waited patiently. Jasmine's voice rose in panic. "Why would you do this to me?" I stepped back and said calmly, "Why? Because you told your friend I was just a stepping stone. And stepping stones don't pay for luxury." Her face collapsed. Her friends stared at her like she'd grown horns. The investor excused himself immediately. The staffer walked away to give her a moment. And Jasmine, she stood in the middle of the ballroom, glittering dress, perfect makeup, and her entire facade cracking in real time. She had wanted attention. Now she had it, just not the kind she could survive. The moment Jasmine grabbed my wrist and hissed, "We need to talk now," I gently pulled my arm away and said, "No, we're done talking." Her eyes widened, not with sadness. She wasn't there yet, but with panic. "Evan, stop. Stop. Don't make a scene," she whispered urgently. I almost laughed. Me make a scene? She had humiliated herself, without me raising my voice once. I said quietly, "You made the scene the moment you used me to fund it." She reached for me again, but I stepped back. Her friends hovered behind her, whispering among themselves, no longer defending her. They had reputations to maintain. No one wanted to be seen supporting the manipulative friend who used her boyfriend to buy access to the gala. I headed for the exit. Jasmine followed like a shadow, spiraling out of control. "Evan, please. Please. Let me explain." I didn't stop walking. "You're overreacting." "Still walking. Why are you doing this to me?" I got to the lobby before I turned and said, "Your words did this, not me." Then I walked out into the chill night air. And that was when Jasmine broke. I heard it, her heels clattering, her voice cracking, her perfect composure crumbling. She called after me, "Evan, please. Don't leave. I can't afford the dinner. They'll ruin me." I didn't even turn around. A black car pulled up beside me, the driver I had privately booked earlier. As I stepped inside, I felt a lightness in my chest I hadn't felt in months. My phone started buzzing before the door even closed. 17 messages. Then 5 missed calls. Then another message. "Evan, please. I didn't mean what I said. I was stressed. You're making a mistake. Please help me." Then, "Don't ruin me. Please. I can't pay this bill." Then anger. "You did this on purpose. How could you embarrass me?" Then desperation again. "I'll do anything. Just please respond." I blocked her number. Blocked her friends too. But Jasmine wasn't the type to accept silence. The next morning, she emailed me. Then met me. Then messaged me from a burner. Then emailed me from her work. All the same cycle. Panic, apology, blame, begging, rage, panic again. I didn't respond. Not for a week. Not for her meltdown. Not for the post she made online trying to paint herself as a victim. Not for the mutual friends who told me, "Dude, she's losing it." Not even when I heard she ended up paying the entire dinner bill and losing the investor as a potential client because he didn't work with unprofessional drama. Her boss reprimanded her for the scene. Her friends distanced themselves. Her finances imploded. But I stayed silent until she sent me one last message. "Can we please talk one final time?" So I sent her exactly one file. The audio recording of everything she said the day I overheard her calling me a stepping stone. And beneath it I typed, "This is why." She never responded after that. She couldn't. There was nothing left to say. 3 months later, I was in a small art cafe downtown, one I'd been too busy and drained to visit while dating Jasmine. I was flipping through a sketchbook section when a woman asked if the seat beside me was taken. She had paint on her sleeves, soft eyes, and a warm smile. Her name was Maya. She was a graphic designer, calm, funny, and real in a way that felt like a different universe compared to the chaos I'd left behind. We talked for 2 hours. No pretenses, no performance, no status games. When I told her my name, she grinned and said, "You seem like someone who finally learned how to breathe again." I nodded slowly. Yeah, I have. Because Jasmine didn't just betray me. She taught me the cost of staying with someone who sees you as a tool instead of a person. And walking away wasn't revenge. It was rebirth. Now, I choose peace. I choose honesty. I choose people who see me, not my wallet. And the best part? I'm done being a stepping stone. I'm finally walking my own path. And it feels damn good.